Hello, well, I made it to Scotland, back in my hometown of Keith in the summertime where it's pissing rain and not very warm. I think it's still a bit warmer than back in Perth, Australia. So it's coming up to my 10th year as a stroke survivor, so I can't help but reflect on the last 10 years, and especially being back in the town I grew up in, can't help but reflect on things here. So I'm outside, I don't know if you can see, I'm in the car, but I'm outside Strathisla Distillery in Keith, which is quite an iconic distillery in the northeast of Scotland, where I used to work. And it kind of set me on my career path, I suppose, to a certain degree. My boss at the time and I suppose I'd call him my mentor. We used to play squash and golf together, and he really helped me with my career and just general advice, and I guess setting an example as well as how to behave and how to be professional. I met his daughters this week, which again reminded me of him and how much he helped me over the years. But reflecting on my 10 years as a stroke survivor and my 16 years in Australia, I guess in the last 10 years I've learned to introduce myself as I've survived a stroke rather than I had a stroke, which I think makes a massive difference. And if there was one thing I would pass on to other stroke survivors, is to introduce yourself as a stroke survivor, not I had a stroke. I think it makes a massive difference to the way people perceive you and also the way you perceive yourself. So, and again, keep fighting, keep trying, keep pushing yourself. I've pushed myself here to travel from Perth, Australia to Scotland. It's obviously a long way to travel. I was a bit hesitant travelling solo all that way, and especially now where you can't fly via the Middle East, so a bit further and a bit more transfer. So I had 2 days in Hong Kong on my way here, and also a night in Heathrow on my way up, which I missed. Made the journey a little bit longer and made it a little bit more, I guess you'd say, disconnected. It wasn't just a straight through transfer, but I quite enjoyed it. And as I say, felt I was sort of pushing my limits a little bit, especially Hong Kong, where I did quite a lot of walking, but I'm glad I did it. And again, one thing I would pass on to other stroke survivors is don't be too afraid of pushing yourself that little bit further than you would to get outside your comfort zone. The world's a big place and you need to get out there and experience it. Obviously walking can be a bit difficult. For me it wasn't too bad. My knee was playing up, but I managed to walk around Hong Kong and navigate my way around quite well. I'm hoping to play a little bit of golf while I'm here. Hopefully the weather will clear up a little bit. But it's good visiting family and friends back here. Again, it's made me reflect on my 16 years of being away from Scotland and coming back. It's lovely to come back. I don't know if I'd ever move back here. I really like Australia and the way of life there, and obviously the weather was a big factor in moving there. My kids are still there. I made a new relationship, so I'm starting to build a new life in Australia after getting divorced and after stroke. So I feel like I'm doing okay. The last 10 years have been a bit of a struggle, but finally feeling like I'm coming out the other end of that. So onwards and upwards, as they say. So I'm going to drive through from Keith to my brother's house, my twin brother, stay with him for a couple of nights, and then we've got some travelling around to do this week. My mum, over really seeing my mum, she's getting on in years. She's had one hand operation and she was scheduled to get another. That was one of the reasons for planning the trip, so I could come over and help her. But she's not had the second operation yet. Luckily, she got a cancellation, so I'll still be here when she has that operation to try and give her a hand a little bit and take her to hospital and drive her back and forwards from appointments. Driving here has been, obviously I used to live in Scotland, so driving around here, I'll know quite a lot of the roads. And driving the same side as we do here as we do in Australia, that hasn't been too bad, but the thing that's really noticeable for me is the speed. The normal speed limit here is 60 miles an hour. Faster than that on dual carriageways and motorways, but we don't have many of them round about here in Aberdeenshire. But 60 kilometres an hour feels really fast to me. The roads are a bit narrower, I would say, but 60 kilometres an hour must be over 60 miles an hour must be over 100 kilometres an hour, which is the freeway speeds back in Perth, Australia. So driving on narrow roads at 60 miles an hour feels really fast to me. I'm conscious that I'm usually sitting at 50 miles an hour and driving, I guess what I would say previously is driving like an old man. I'm very cautious, which is the right thing to do, I think. I've still got a bit of a vision deficit, so I need to be careful on my left if things pull out. But because I'm conscious of it, I'm scanning all the time and making sure that I'm aware and alert and my road positioning's correct. But I've got a tendency to maybe get too close to the side on the left. But so far so good, I'm managing okay. But as I say, I'm driving like an old man and I'm reducing my speed, probably lower than it should be, but I'm trying not to hold up traffic too much. Again, checking my mirrors to make sure there's not a line of traffic behind me. And overtaking, again, because when I was a young man living here, I used to zip away and overtake things as soon as I could, but here I'm very cautious and overtake only when it's really, really ultra safe. So, but getting on okay. I've got a nice hire car, so that's it just now, just really reflecting on things, and we'll keep you posted. I've got some video clips from a trip to Hong Kong that I might cut together and edit together when I get back home. It's difficult to do that on my phone while I'm away, but I might do that when I'm back home to give you more of a feel for my trip. But like I said, for other stroke survivors, don't be afraid of travel. It's doable depending on your issues that you've got, but I would say that go for it. Most airlines are helpful. If you ask for assistance, they'll give you assistance. Boarding, getting between gates at the airport. Once you're on the flight, it's fine. I would go for an aisle seat. So if you do need to get up and down to go to the toilet, it's a lot easier. Plus, if you're in the window and you've got to squeeze past 2 or 3 people, it can be quite difficult. Obviously, if you're at the aisle and somebody needs to get out, you still need to move to let them out, but most folk aren't too bad and they wait until you've landed or there's time or space. So again, a tip would be ask for assistance if you feel you need it, and try and get an aisle seat if you can. Everybody's got their own preference, but in my experience, that would be my preference. And also, I guess one top tip I would suggest is have somebody at the airport to greet you, so you don't need to maybe get a hand with baggage reclaim. Also, you don't need to navigate your way out of the airport quite so much. When I got to Aberdeen, I knew where I was going. I knew where to get the car here because I've done that many times before. Hong Kong was okay. I managed to find the taxi rank okay. I did buy a Octopus card, so I could have taken the public transport, but I chose to go in a taxi. So I thought, well, if I go above ground on the taxi, I'll get to see a little bit of the city on my way to the hotel. In hindsight, and if I had more difficulty navigating my way around, I should have organised a hotel shuttle, and I did that on the way back, which was great. But thinking back, on the way to the hotel, I could have organised the hotel shuttle to pick me up. So they would have been standing in arrivals with the sign, so they would have effectively picked me up from the airport and taken me straight to the hotel. That would have cost a little bit more than a taxi, but I think it would have been worth it. It's a nicer car. As I say, you would have had that somebody picking you up at the airport. So again, when you're travelling, just think about that as a potential option. It makes it easier if somebody's there waiting for you and you don't need to navigate your way out of a strange airport. But anyway, I'll leave you there. Give you one last view of Strathisla Distillery out the window. It's a beautiful spot. If you are ever in Scotland, certainly in the northeast, I would recommend a trip to Keith, and certainly recommend a trip to some of the distilleries. I'm just back from a drive up to Tomintoul, which is quite a distance away, but it's a road that I used to travel quite a lot when I was working for Chivas Brothers here, and past several distilleries. So if you're in Scotland, come and visit the distilleries in the northeast. It's a beautiful part of the country, and even when it's raining, it's lush and green and very picturesque, and the roads are nice. So anyway, love you and leave you. Thank you. Bye bye.